you guys. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending this wonderful event today. It's been very well organized, the whole day event. Just listen to the keynote. It was great and wonderful. And today's topic I'm going to take is why do my DAX formulas return wrong results? So I'm going to focus on some of the common mistakes that beginners make in creating DAX calculations, and take those examples and highlight where it goes wrong, and try to highlight how to correct them, how to apply the correct concept of DAX. Okay, let's go through some of the announcements. It's not going to take your time much. So basically, this event has been supported and it's a worthy cause to support Chicago Public Schools through the Children First Fund. So I would encourage you all to go and make your contribution if you wish. And next, it's very, very important for you to provide your feedback by filling the form. You can take the QR code and go and fill it out for the whole session as well as for the speakers. And then next, there are also prizes, raffles and giveaways. You can get them by tweeting using #M365 CHI22 for Twitter. And these prizes are sponsored by our sponsors, so you can go ahead and engage. And we would like to thank our sponsors, gold partners, silver partners, and the community partners. Without them, this event wouldn't have been possible to take it up at this level. With that, I'm going to give a short introduction about myself. Myself, Fowmy Abdulmuttalib. I come all the way from Saudi Arabia. I'm employed here. I'm originally from Sri Lanka. So I'm heading the enterprise resource planning and the business intelligence at McDonald's here in Saudi Arabia. I'm a finance professional, spent a lot of time in finance, then shifted to business intelligence and resource planning. And I also founded a consultancy services called Excel Fort Consulting. I basically provide consulting on Power BI, business intelligence, overall, Microsoft Excel, Power Query, training and consultation. I'm also a leader of Power BI user group for Power BI community here in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. So if you like to connect with me, you can use my LinkedIn account, and I'm always available there. My Twitter handle is there at excelfort.com. During my free time, I create YouTube videos on Excel and Power BI, and you can go and check them out at Excel Fort. You can search by Excel Fort in YouTube, and you will find a lot of beneficial, useful videos for you. With that, let's move on to today's session. Basically, today we are going to cover some introduction on learning DAX, some of the tips I'm going to provide. Then we'll go into the demo. And finally, we'll have the Q&A, right? So the problem why most of, I think, the beginners make mistake is not understanding the concept of DAX language. DAX is a functional query language. It's not like any other languages where it has a flow, row by row, line by line, but this is totally depend on certain concepts. So there are evaluation contexts. The whole language revolves around the evaluation context. Without understanding the evaluation context, it's difficult to go ahead with DAX, I would say. Next, iterators are very important to understand the context transition and the expanded tables. These are some of the important concepts that you need to understand before writing DAX. So once you establish this, then it's very important to set your mindset, according to what is laid out in the concept. Unlike Excel, SQL, or any other languages, this is unique. Okay, as I mentioned, it's context-based, so you need to put yourself in a different mindset. And You need to practice a lot, actually. So practice makes it perfect. So the more practice you have on creating different formulas, you can make mistakes, definitely, and you should learn from them, right? Whenever you make a mistake, make sure you learn something from that. Imagine you get a formula and it generates a result which is not expected, but try and find out how it got generated, right? So this way you will learn a lot. And in DAX, there is no trial and error. Basically, if something doesn't work, you cannot try different functions and options and see if it works and proceed. No. First, you make sure you apply the concept. That's very important and should know what's going on within your formula, right? And the other thing is to get yourself engaged in the Power BI community. Power BI community is a great place. I usually hang around there and spend a lot of time whenever I have time to solve problems that are submitted. These are real world problems people submit in the forum. So you solve their problems. The first thing is you learn from these questions and answering them. And the same time, you're helping others in the community, right? Let's get down to the demo today. So in today's demo, so my topic is why do my DAX formulas return wrong results? So these are a collection of 12 practical examples. So we are going to learn the concepts, the functions using these 12 examples. Okay, let me switch to my Power BI file. Okay, so I hope my file is visible and clear to you. Right, so this is my homepage where I've got the list of 12 examples I'm going to demonstrate today. So let's get into the first problem that we are looking at. Okay, so the first one is zero and blank issue. Let's have a look at the table first. I use a small table over here. It's just a simple table with two columns, dates and some values. You see some values are zeros here, and then we have blank, right, and some numbers, right? Okay, let's get back to our calculation here. So the question is show as not recorded for each date if the value is equal to blank, otherwise recorded. So the question is I need to show not recorded if the value is blank, right? So I have 1 and 2 blanks. The problem is I'm looking at not recorded even for 0 values. They are supposed to have recorded, right? Let's look at the calculation that's done here. So value recorded. Okay, looking at this formula, it sums table 1 values, fine. It says if it's equal to blank, then not recorded, otherwise recorded. I can't see any problem by looking at it, but the problem is the results are wrong. So what's causing this is you would have seen in DAX, there is a comparison. There's a strict comparison, right? So here I'm using just equal blank, but if you read DAX considers blank and 0 in this case to be blank. That's why even when there is a 0 here, you get not recorded. So if you use equal sign, instead of that, if you use 2 equal signs, we are forcing a strict evaluation. It should be strictly equal to blank. So now let's check our result. Now you see the results coming correctly, right? So here we are strictly comparing the value to be blank. There are 2 blanks. I see no recorded, right? This is one way of achieving this. There is another way. The blank is blank function here, which is an alias to strict evaluation, is blank. Okay, so let's go and confirm this measure to check. Okay, you are getting the same result. So either you can use is blank or strict equal, both will work in this case. So similarly, I have a measure here. From the same table, I just wanted to see how many records have 0. I want to count the rows, number of rows that are 0. So I'm using here table value equals 0. I'm getting 6. In this case, I've got 4 zeros, right? So I can apply the same concept, strict evaluation of 0. Yes, now I get 4 as the results, which is correct. Hope that was helpful. Let's move on. Let's get into example number 2, sales band. From this example onwards, I'm going to use a small data model. Let's let's go and see what that model is. I've got 3 tables, a date table, a products table, and a sales data, right? There is a relationship between product ID and the product ID in the sales data table, and the date-to-date one-to-many relationship as well. So the data is pretty simple. This is my dates table. Product table has 6 products and 2 categories, right? And the sales data has by date transaction, I can say. You have sales transaction, sales quantity, units sold, cost price, and the sales price. And I also have the country, the segment, and the salesperson. So I've got around 700 records. This is a sample data set that comes with the Power BI desktop. I used it to slightly modify and use it for this project actually. So with that, what I did, I went ahead and created a simple measure, 2 measures, the base measures I would call them. One is the sales, total sales measure, which is a sales price multiplied by units sold. So that's the sum of total sales. And also I have total units that represents the sum of units sold column. Okay, now let's get back to the problem number 2. So what is the problem here? Okay, create a sales band measure by salesperson, sales band measure. So I need to tag each salesperson based on his total sales, low, medium, and high, based on if the sales amount is less than 6 million, then low, greater than or equal to 6 million, then medium, greater than or equal to 8 million, then high, right? So I have done the formula and I see the results. Let's have a look at it. The first one, 8.9 million, anything greater than or equal to 8 million should be high, but I'm getting medium. So there is a problem here. Others seem to be okay. So let's go and have a look at what has happened here. Okay, this is the measure that returns the result. I create a variable here. Total sales equal to total sales, right? Total sales is the variable. So I'm using this variable to do a conditional check. So total sales is less than 6 million. That's correct. Low. As we mentioned before, greater than or equal to 6 million, it's medium, and 8 million and above is high. Then why this is happening, right? If you closely look at it, look at the order of this condition status. Now, let's take the first one here. The 8.9 million, right? This 8.9 million, when you evaluate it through this switch conditional check, it's less than 6 million. No, it's not less than 6 million. Okay, is it greater than or equal to 6 million? Yes, so this qualifies. So medium comes as the results. and it's also greater than or equal to high. So there are two conditions that are true in this case. So it picks the first one, that's the order, right? So it shows medium here. So as you see, the problem here is the ordering. So let's go and fix it. Now, high should come first, then the medium, then low. This way, any amount that runs through this condition will get evaluated correctly. So to move this line up, I can also just teach you a few tricks on DAX with DAX shortcuts. So you can press Alt key and up, high. Now I want to put the low down, Alt key down. So I need to go and fix my commas. This way I'm evaluating it in the correct manner, right? So for the shortcut key, make sure you use Alt plus up or down. So there are many. You can refer to the help for more from Microsoft Documents. Okay. Now let me, I think I press, yeah, I did not confirm it. So let me quickly do it. Yes. Okay. So now I'm getting the correct value here, high, medium, and low. Great. Let's move on to the next one. Okay. Blank grand total. Always show blank for grand total. So the challenge here is I just took the same amount in this measure, and I'm showing, I'm supposed to show blank value, whatever selection that I have made on salesperson. So let's, I'm looking at this cell without any value, but the moment I choose a single value, I see the total coming up here. So I don't want to see any value, right? When you select multiple values, yes, it works. So let's have a look at the measure. Okay, I'm checking if has one value. If there is one value here, then assign the total sales, otherwise blank. Okay, I go and click one here. So there is one person selected. Let me go back and check. Okay. So has one value. It checks if there is has one, the column that is selected here is sales data, salesperson. So there is one value, it chooses. But the problem with has one value is it checks if there is one value here within the selected area. When it comes to the total, so there is no filter on the salesperson. The filter on the salesperson is removed. It says all the values here, right? So for that, what we can use is in scope function. So what is in scope does is it first checks if there is one value, then it checks the column that is used as a grouping here. So in this visual, we are grouping the sales by salesperson, right? So let me confirm this and check if the results is correct. Yeah, now it works, right? Even if you select one or multiple, it works, right? So let me continue my explanation here. So what I was telling was in scope, basically check if there is one value here. Then it checks if the provided column within the parameter is part of this grouped column, right? At this level, it is grouped, right? But when it comes to the total row level, it is not grouped. So that's why it's giving the correct answer in this case, right? So you need to choose which one to use based on your scenario. Good. Let's move on to number 4. Okay. We'll now get into learning some of the concepts, key concepts in DAX with these examples going forward. So now the challenge is to create a calculated column in the table, product table, that shows the total units. Okay, so this is a picture of that. This is what is required, right? So let's go into, before we go into the calculated tables, let's have a look at this picture here. So I have the product category, then I need a column that shows the total units for each product, right? So let's go and create that. Okay, I've seen people make mistake in creating this kind of columns in tables without thinking about the context, right? So let's go and create a new column. Okay, let's call it total. Let me zoom it a bit. Total units equal. So I can sum sales data, total units sold. Okay, you would think, let me hit enter. Strangely, I'm getting the same amount everywhere, right? Oh, what's going on here? So you would think, okay, fine. I'm in the products table. I need to get some data from the sales data table. I already have a relationship here. So I expect the relationship from this product ID is filtering the sales data table. So this should filter and give me the correct amount. Okay. So you should first understand here, there is no filter placed on the sales data table. As we are creating a calculated column, we are in a row context, right? Whenever you create a calculated column, you are running through a row context. You are going row by row. When you access the sales data, there is no filter applied to that. It returns the whole table. That's why you see the same amount in each of these rows. So one way to fix this is to use the relationship and push the filter from this line onto the sales table. You can use calculate. One feature of calculate is it can do the context transition. So what is context transition here? Context transition is we are in a row context, right? We need to filter the sales data using the values, using this particular row here. So calculate, it destroy any row context and converts it into a similar equivalent filter context and give this as filters to the sales data table. That's why now you will see the values are coming up correctly. Right now you get the values correctly. That's because of the context transition. Or you can use the related table function. It is also a context transition, but you can call it a calculate table. This returns all the data that are related to product the ID 1, right? Let's say sales data, right? So it's asked for a table. Now this I cannot press enter because it will give an error, as you can see, because it's returning a table. So returns multiple values. So let's count the rows now. Right, you see you get different results because it's similar to context transition related table. But now you have the access to all the columns in this related table. You can apply an iterator function like SumX, for example. Okay. Now SumX will go through each of these records that are related to product ID 1, and you can specify the expression, what you want the function to do. So I want to get the sales data, units sold. Okay. So I am summing the total units, the units sold for each record here. Okay, so this is one way to create the calculated column. Okay, since we already have a measure, not to get confused, I'll rename it as column version. Fine. So hope you understood the context transition, how it works in this case, right? Let's get back to our examples. We have completed 4 and on to 5. Okay. Some ranking problems here. So the question is rank salespersons by segment, right? On sales and units sold. So I've got the segment and the salesperson. So within each segment, I have the total sales. So I want to rank the salesperson. He's going to be the first and the second is this and so on, right? I've created a measure, but I'm looking at number one, rank one for everybody, right? So this is a common mistake that I see people make. So let's go and have a look at what's going on here. So persons by sales. Yeah, this measure. Yes. So what's going on here? I'm checking. OK, if is in scope sales data salesperson. So I only want to calculate this ranking only when the salesperson is visible as one value here, right? I don't want to do it for the segment. That's fine. Then I am looking at RankX function. RankX function basically asks for first argument a table to iterate through, and the second parameter is an expression. So each of the values provided within this table for each salesperson, it will evaluate the total sales and assign a position. So the highest value will be assigned as 1 based on other parameters you give, right? So now in this case, we have total sales. It says values. So it needs all the salesperson that are visible within this filter context. But values in this case, you should understand, it can return based on whatever filter context that exists. It doesn't create any filter modification or any removal of filters, right? So let's go and see what values are generated for the salesperson at this stage, right? I can just to show you what values returns. It's a table, so let's use concatenate X to return what we see as the salesperson here, right? I can go and comment this. Another shortcut you can use by pressing Control /, right? Now I am going to take this value here. This is the table that gets written. So I'm supposed to see all the salesperson. That's why I used values, but it doesn't work. Let's see what's going on. So let's use concatenate X. This is also another iterator function. It needs the table. It's going to go through each value within this table, each salesperson. And I want the salesperson as the expression here. I want to concatenate with a delimiter of comma, right? Let's check what happens here. Okay, let me zoom it. So you expected to see all the salesperson for each line, but I see only what is visible, right? So this is not what I wanted. I wanted so A, B, C, D, and all in every cell. So for that, value is not the function. We need to use all selected. What all selected does in this case is it removes the filter from salesperson. So whatever salesperson that are visible within the visual, right? If any filter applied on the salesperson outside, it ignores that, but it clears the filter from this salesperson A to J and gives a table here. Let's go and check what results we get now. Okay, now you see all the salesperson from A to G, right? So this way, we should understand the table function, how they work and what they return, right? Now let me remove this. I can remove the comment now by pressing again Control and /. So this time I'm going to replace values with all selected. So now I should get my ranking correct. If I have done everything correct. Okay, yes, now it's correct. So 150 is 1, 2, 3, 4 and all, right? Okay, so let's move on. So I have another problem here, rank sales by units. So I also want to rank the salesperson by sales units as well. Let's go and see this time what's the problem that we are facing here. Is in scope, salesperson, RankX, I have used all selected, so this is correct. And I want to evaluate this time without using the measure. What I did, I just used sum of total units. I just want to evaluate total units sold, right? Sum. Then why I'm not getting this result? Okay, the answer is this. So when you iterate over each salesperson, right, now this sum is calculated, but there is no filter applied onto this, right? There is no connect between this each salesperson and the total units sold. So for that, we need to create a context transition here. So you need to calculate these total units for each salesperson. Currently, it's calculating the same amount. Okay. So for that, what we can do, go and calculate. Calculate is your friend, so you need to use it wisely. So now you look at calculate. Calculate converts the total units based on the context transition. The sum of total units is calculated based on the filter. So there is a filter context created here, right? Now let me go and confirm this. Now you get the total units correct. Now, instead of doing this, if you already have a measure for total units, you can simply use total units. This works. You would ask, okay, how does it work? There is no calculate here. Okay. Whenever you create a measure using right click or whichever way you prefer, you create a measure, that measure is wrapped around a calculate. That's the way Power BI works, because it has to use the filter context. So without calculate, no calculation will be done here. So to use the filter context and the context transition, there is always a calculate wrapped around these measures. That's why it works in this case. Okay, now let's go and confirm this. Okay, fine. Let's move on to the next example. Example number 6. Okay, this time we are looking at average monthly units. Calculate average monthly units by salespersons. Okay, I have the salesperson and their total units, right? I want their monthly average. On an average, a salesperson, how many units they do, right? I just want to see here, right? Maybe I want to sort and see who is high, who is low. But this number here doesn't represent the actual average. Okay, something wrong with the measure, right? So this is too low. Let's go and analyze what measure has been built. Okay, so I have used a simple measure, average units sold. Right, so average units sold, I need to average it by what? By month in this case, right? So for that, you need to build a table, a month table here that represents each month in the table, and calculate the total units, then average it. So this can be achieved using average X. Average X is going to ask for a table. So I am going to use values. In dates table, I have dates. Let me use year month. So it includes both year and month. So it's a monthly table, right? Which gives all the months table. What I want to do is I just want to take the total units in this case. Total units. This does, it receives a table of values, right? All the months. For each month, it's going to take the total units and create a small table. You will have a year month in one column and total units. Now this will go and average that particular table. Let's go Now you get the correct value. 4,800 is the average monthly units for salesperson B. Okay, fine. Let's move on to the next one. Now we have another example. This is also a very common mistake beginners make. So calculate 10% sales commission for each salesperson having sales over 7 million. Okay, let me hop on to comments and see. Okay. Okay, fine, all good. Now, in this one, to calculate the 10% commission on total sales, I have used a measure and calculated this returns 10% correct. And the second line, third line, okay. There is a condition here. So if the sales is over 7 million, then I need to calculate 10%, right? These three are okay, but looking at the grand total, I'm getting 10% of the grand total. So which basically should give me the total of these three, right? Something around 2.3, 2.4 million, right? So why it's not giving the correct grand total? This is a total problem. Let's get back into the calculation. So what measure I'm using here? If total sales is greater than 7 million, then total sales multiply by 10%. At this level, it's okay. So looking at the salesperson B, right, F and J. But when it comes to this level, right? So when it comes to this level, 6.3 is calculated based on this amount. So here I see all the salesperson, not only those three. So the thing here is you need to iterate over each salesperson and calculate for each of them the commission, then add them, right, as a total. So this way I'll be able to achieve 2 point whatever million I'm getting as total. Let's see how we can do that now. So again, you need to iterate over salesperson. For that, we are going to sum it. We are not going to average it this time. Last time we averaged the sales total units. So this time I'm going to sum the commission, right? So I'm going to put sum x here, which is an iterator function. And by what I want? By salesperson, right? Okay. So you cannot specify like this. You need to have the values, right? You need a value and salesperson. Okay. Perfect. Now let me close this and see. Right, so I'm iterating over each salesperson and check if his sales is greater than 7 million, then I calculate, right? Once you have this, the SumX will add only those records that pass this condition. Right. Let me confirm it. Yeah, I think now you are getting the correct results, 2.4 million. Okay. So whenever you have a total that is not getting calculated correctly, look at the measure and see if you are if you understand the filter context that is being applied here. Okay, the filter context at this line level or row level is different from what is in the grand total. Okay, let's move on to another set of problems here. Percentage calculation, which is a very important one. For those who do frequent calculations, you must be knowing this. Percentage of total sales. So what you are supposed to calculate here is show segment sales as a percentage of its respective category. So I have the category, then I have the segment. So under each category, I have the segment and the respective sales amount, right? So I'm calculating the sales percentage. As you see, let's take category B, government represent 15.7 million, which is 43%, right? So it's correct. And 37% is correct. So this is the 100%. All looks good. But the moment I go and apply a filter, let's say I want to see only two categories. Okay. So what I wanted here is this amount, 5.8 million, should be calculated. The percentage for this particular amount should be calculated as a percentage of this amount over here, 6.3. But this is calculated on overall. We saw that it was 63 million. Yeah, that's why you are getting this. So how do you make sure it always calculate on the category total that appears here? Okay. So now that we understand the problem, we'll go and look at how the measure has been built. Okay, I'm dividing, of course, I'm dividing the, let's say, enterprise sales by the category sales. So grand total here, sorry, the total sale is there, and I'm dividing it by the total sales. I'm removing the filter on segments here, right? So I have used segment. So if you remove the filter on at this level, if you remove the filter on segment, enterprise and channel, you should get the same amount, 6.3 million, right? Now, what I have done, I have used all. So what all does in this case, it removes the filter from the column wherever the filter is applied. It doesn't matter, it is within the visual or outside. It removes the filter. So that's why it doesn't respect these two filters. It shows all the segments. So in order to look at only the filters, clear the filters that are within the visual, right, applied. So you just need to apply all selected. So when you apply all selected, which basically restore the original filter context, right? It doesn't clear anything beyond enterprise and channel. So when you apply all, it goes and clear the filter and give you the whole table, I mean whole column of segments. That's why you see 63 million sales there, and the amount is calculated 16%. Now let's look at this measure. Now you see, even when I select two segments, it gives me correct answer, 91% and 9%. If you select everything, okay, that's good. Yeah, this works perfectly. So using all and all selected, you should understand how it works, right? All selected clears filters that are within the visual. That's very important. Okay. I have three scenarios for this percentage calculation. This is number one, and let's go to number two. So in number two, what we see is, let's look at the question. Calculate segment gross sales contribution percentage to its respective category. Okay. So same question, but measure has been built in a different way, right? Okay. The problem is I have done the calculation. You see it's 100% everywhere, right? So even if you select, you don't get the right answer. So what's going on here? Let's hop into measure segment contribution. Okay, so this time I use variables. Variables are very powerful. It makes your code readable and very performant. So first, what I need, basically, I just need to take this, for example, to calculate a value here. I just need this value, right? This value, and divide it by the value over here, right? So first, this 411 million is the total sales that I calculate, for example, in this place, right? I need first the total value, which is 411 million. Then I'm going to divide it by this 27.6 million. How do you get 27.6 million? So you need to remove the filter from the segment, right? So I get total sales 411 million. Then I assign the denominator value, which is total sales, all segments. So how do you calculate all segment? We learned in our previous example, right? By using all selected. So I have the total sales here, which represent total sales, 411 million. And then all selected, remove the filter. So this seems okay. And here I divide the total sales by total sales all segment. So in this case, why does it produce a wrong result? Okay. As you see, I have applied a variable concept here, right? So one thing you should understand with variable is once you assign a measure or a result of a measure to a variable, filter context is there. It calculated and assigned. Then this value becomes a constant. So when I use the same variable again within this calculate, this is not recalculated because this is not recalculated based on the new filter context. What is the new filter context? Not only channel partners, but all the segments, right? But this way, this is good as good as this, right? This amount. So this is a constant. So these filters cannot go and make changes to that particular value. So when you use calculate here, in this case, you need to use the same measure, right? So which can filter the table, sales table. Now this way, when you apply modifiers to the this is a modifier to the calculate function. So it has the ability to go and change and recalculate the value fresh from the table. Now let's go and turn it on. Okay, now you see it's calculated correctly. Okay, good. So that's another tip you should understand when calculating percentages. Let's go on to the third one. Again, percentage of total. In this case, I want sales contribution as a percentage of respective year. Monthly sales is there. I just want to see as a percentage of its year's total, right? But I'm looking at 100% everywhere. Let's go back and see what's happening here. Okay, now looking at this measure, okay, we learned before. I'm just adding whatever we learned in the past example so you can follow exactly what I'm doing here. So total sales is calculated and assigned to a total sales variable. And all months, I just need to clear the filter from all selected. This time I didn't use a variable, I use total sales. So these two are correct, I don't have a problem. Then I go and divide total sales by total sales all months, right? So strange, what's going on here? Why I'm not getting the, okay, results as expected. Okay, let's have a look at this line. So it clears the filter on months. You are right, because I have used, let me show you what I have used. I have used year and month, right? So at this level, I need to clear what the month only because I have used month name. The issue here is whenever you use a column, you need to make sure you have, if you have sorted it based on another column, you also need to include that, what I mean. Okay. Let's go back to the calendar table. Remember, we use month name. I'm going back to the calendar table. And in this calendar table, if you look at the month name, which I used there, right? If you click on that, I have used month number as the column to sort this because month name is a text. If you use it without sorting, what happens is you will not see September, October, November. It will be on alphabetical order. April will come first, right? So to avoid that, what we do, we go and select this column and choose month number. Month number is a number which can be sorted, and so we use that to sort this column. That's why you see that. So now whenever you use it to clear in a measure, you also need to clear the month number, right? So just to prove that month number is also associated with this and also included in this measure, I can just show you using the performance analyzer. Let's go to View and click on performance analyzer and start recording. And this button over here, when you click analyze this visual, this will return the query that is sent to the database from this visual, right? When you expand it, you can see how much time it takes in millisecond. This particular visual takes 811 millisecond for the DAX query alone. So others are for the visual to render and waiting time. So let me copy this query. And under external tool, if you don't have DAX Studio, please go ahead and install it. It's a very handy, useful tool from SQL, guys. And let me open DAX editor. Okay, I'll bring it to my screen over here. So you can paste that query over here, right? Okay, now long lines. Okay, huge query. It looks huge, but nothing much. So you look at this, now look at this number. This is where it summarizes the month name, right? When it does that, you see month number is also included here. Why is it there? Because it's associated for the sorting purpose. I never included this month number in my column, right? But it's there. So we need to remove that as well. Let me close this and go back to the measure again here. And here you are looking at all selected date, month. So what I need to do, I also need to remove the month number, right? Okay, so month number, name, both are removed. Now let's go and check. Now you are getting the correct answer. See, monthly percentage as monthly total sales as a percentage of its respective year. So this is something very important. We are down to last two. Let's okay, I've got time. Okay, let's look at this one. This one is a bit hard, but I'll explain it. Try my best. Okay. What's the question here? Calculate product percentage of related product category, keeping only product. Okay. So again, a percentage issue. Now I have the category again and the products, right? Total sales and the percentage. So Amarilla represents 34% from this 27.6 million, right? Which is correct. Now, the problem is if I go and remove the filter from here, product category, keep an eye on this 34%, which is calculated as a percentage of Amarilla sales as a percentage of 27.6, 34.6. Now, if I remove category from here, you see the percentage has changed. Now it's calculating based on 63.9 million total, right? So this, I don't want that. But I always want to calculate for any product as a percentage of its related category, right? So category B or A, whichever is related, that should be the denominator. Now, why we want it that way? Let me go back and put this back, category name, and expand it. Now, if you have a chart, it's the same story. If you go back, these are the categories. And if you drill it down, okay, see, you see 14.8%. But if you want to see that 34% odd, then you have to show both of these, the category and the product, because you get two filters over here, right? So in this way, it's not possible to achieve what you want. So for that, what we need to do, we need to first have a look at the function here, sorry, the formula here. Total sales is there, category, then total sales should be divided by the category sales. How the category sale is calculated? Okay, I take the total sales and I change the calculation. I modify here using all except product category. All except what it does, it removes the filter from the product table, including product, category, everything, and keeps the filter coming from the category. So category is in this case A, right? So it restores the filter on category. That's why you see it here. The moment you remove category, there is no product category here. So it receives everything. To solve this, what we can do, we can remove the filter from the products table, right? Now there is no filter on products table. But somehow we need to bring in the filter for the category. We can use the cross filter function, right, facility here in Power BI, right? When this is filtered, this product Amarilla is filtered, it also filters the category, right? Or let me just confirm this. I'll just come back to this measure, right? Okay, so if you go to the product table, what happens is what I did, I filtered by Amarilla, right? So if you filter Amarilla in my visual, that also filters the product category table. So you get category A. So you should be able to access this value. So let's go back and restore the value over here. Okay, remove filter. Now what I want to do, I just want to calculate, okay, for this particular group, values function will bring the value from the category, right? What this does here is remove the filter from everything, all the columns in products table, and restore the filter, bring in the filter for the category of the related product here, right? So this is much better now. So this shows now 34.6 with this. Now, if you go ahead and remove the category, still shows 34%. And look at the visual here. You remove, you see still 34%. Okay, great. Running out of time, so let me go to the last one. Fine, okay. Let me quickly explain this. Nothing much, but pretty simple. You need to understand the concept here. So I calculate percentage of sales for units below 500. So I've got the products over here, right? I've selected 2020, doesn't matter. So total sales, and here I have calculated the sales below units 500. So let's go and check the measure. So I calculate the total sales and I filter the sales data table, and sales data units sold should be less than 500. So for each row, this actually is on a monthly basis. We have this data. So I just need to filter units sold to less than 500 and then calculate the total units, right? So this 811 is the total sales actually for units below 500 for Amarilla, right? This is done. Now, what is the next one? Calculate the percentage of sales. Now, if you look at this formula here, I have 6.4 million. Here I have 811,000. I need to take 811 and divide it by 6.4 million. That's what I expect in this place, right? Instead of 100. So let's go and get into. Okay. So now what happens here? So I already have a measure I showed you before, sales below 500, which is assigned to this particular value. And I need to divide it by, I brought it here, divide it by all, I want to clear the filter on products. So I get 6.4 million. Okay, how do I do that? Total sales. I remove the filter from the products, of course. Yes, I remove it. Also to apply the below 500 filter, I take the filter, I use the filter function to take the sales data table and filter the sales units sold below 500, which is correct, which will filter and give you only the lines where below 500 is true, right? So this looks okay. Okay, then why I'm getting the wrong results? This is where you need to understand the expanded table concept. Now, what happens is expanded table. Let me take the data. I have copied the data of these three tables onto an Excel file. I'll just show you how the expanded tables work. Let me bring in my Excel file over here. Hope you all can see clearly. Right here, I have three tables, right? Product, calendar, and sales table. So product is this, calendar, and sales table. So what happens? Let me clear the filter on this. No, okay. Whenever you have a relationship in your model, right? Whenever you have a relationship in your model, you create a relationship. So it creates an expanded table when you define a table in your calculation, right? What do I mean expanded tables? Now, this product ID is connected to the sales table product ID. So this will bring in all the values from the product table as an additional column. It's not physically stored, but it always creates a virtual table. So in this case, you will see it's like a VLOOKUP, for example. You will see all the related product and the product category. Also, all the columns from the calendar table. Now, basically, your fact table, sales table includes all the columns from all the tables whenever it is connected using a relationship. Okay, it's doing a left outer join. Now, what happens in this case is I filter by units 500, right? Less than 500. Less than 500, right? Okay. Now, when you apply year 2020, right? Then product is Amarilla, right? So this is what I get, right? But what happens is in this calculation, the moment you use filter sales table, this you are referring to the expanded table, right? So this, although you remove the filter from the product, basically from all these items, when you go and apply a filter to the whole table, it filters the table, ignoring these filters, right? The whole table. So that's why you are getting the wrong results. So to solve this issue, what you can do, you can use filter all.
Hey, Fowmy, we're at time.
Yeah. Okay, I'm done. I'm done. Yes.
Cool.
Okay. So when you do this way, now you are getting the correct answer. So instead of doing this, this is syntax sugar. So Power BI will accept this condition. It's a predicate. So this is correct. Okay. So this way you can apply it and you are done. Yes, with this, I think I have completed all 12 examples, ran out of time, and I exceeded. Any questions, anything you got time for me to answer, or like simple ones?
Yeah, I think if you want, there's no session in here right afterwards, so if you want to hang out and just ask questions in chat, then go ahead.
Yeah, okay, I'll hang out in the chat and you can post it in the chat. Also, you can reach out to me through my LinkedIn and website and through my YouTube. So I'm available. I can answer. And thank you guys. Thank you very much. And thanks for the opportunity and a great arrangement so far. And if you want to get this file that I used in this presentation, you can out the form, please. This is very important for the organizers and for us as speakers, your feedback. And then if you want to get the file, you can take a QR code snapshot and get it downloaded, or through my website, excelforward.com. Okay. Yeah, with that, thank you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Fowmy. Good job.